Yo, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing another review on the recently released SBC Ronaldo. We're going to be going through the player stats, details, traits, summary, clips, all that stuff. Before we get into all that, if I could ask you guys to please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when I upload and comment who you'd like me to review next. I've got a big list, but I'm trying to get through it, guys. There will be a lot of uploads coming in the coming days, so add to it as much as you can. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So guys, getting into this Cristiano Ronaldo review, this right wing card released today as part of an SBC. We'll go through the SBC requirements in a moment. This is the team I used him in. Initial impressions of this card, guys. Oh, what have they done? What have they done? I understand EA cannot release an SBC version of Cristiano Ronaldo that costs 1 million coins less than his actual version. However, this card is just really lacking in some key areas. And I don't think it's really up to scratch, guys. I think it's an okay card, especially for linkability. If you want to link in someone like Dybala that you've picked up in the last few days, to get him into your squads easily enough. And a cheap way of doing it, this card of course costs 1 million less coins to do that, and it's cheaper than the Freeze Chiellini as well. So it is a nice option in that regard. Guys, I just think it's just a little bit too degraded or diminished to be able to perform at the level that we would expect a Cristiano Ronaldo card to perform. However, let's get into the card a little bit. 6'2", high-low work rates, right-footed, 4-star skill moves, and 3-star weak foot. So that's a downgrade already. He used to have, I think he's got 4-star weak foot on the regular card. It is now 3-star weak foot on this one. I played 7 games, 3 goals, and 5 assists. Now that's not a great return. Most of his games were played out on the wing. And guys, there were some positives to this card. Don't get me wrong, it's not all negative about this card, but there's a lot more cons to this card than there are on the usual card, of course, and there are some cons which really do hold it back quite a bit, but we'll get into those in a second. In terms of chemistry style, guys, so I tried an engine, I tried a hunter, I tried a catalyst, and I tried one other one as well, a deadeye. Deadeye was okay, and I'll show you something interesting to do with the SBC in a bit, guys. Deadeye was okay, catalyst was pretty good, engine was okay, and hunter has been the best one for me, where he's just able to go and finish chances. The great thing about this card, guys, because he's a right winger, he does have reasonable crossing, and we'll just get into the stats right now. His pros are reasonable crossing, actually, so out of those passing stats, his short pass isn't great, but his crossing is good. So when you're creating those chances off the wing, he does get good balls into the box. Reasonable acceleration and sprint speed as well, so that's quite nice. They are the wrong way around. I would like their acceleration to be 93 and the sprint speed to be 89. I do think that he was very quick off the mark, and maybe that is the wrong way around, but it is what it is. And in terms of other pros as well, his agility is 90, dribbling 90 as well. Another thing about this card, guys, and it's a real pro of this card, just because you have to bear in mind who it is because this Cristiano Ronaldo card is on the right wing now as well. His body type, his animations, how he plays carries across this card, and that's something that's really important about how this card plays. He's still very physically dominant, very dominant in the air as well. So this card does have a lot of pros that go along with it. In terms of player traits, he's got the power free kick trait, flare trait, long shot, outside the foot shot, and speed dribble. You will see one outside the foot shot goal that I scored with him was a beautiful finish. So he does have that capability across all those traits as well. Guys, we're going to get into the SBC requirements for this card, and we'll get into some interesting facts about this card as well in that section of the video. So without further ado, let's go to it. So guys, getting into the SBC requirements for this card: 279 on the PlayStation, 273 on the Xbox, and 308, 100,000 coins respectively on the PC. In terms of the squads you have to put together, the first one's cheap, 17.2, 77 for the Old Trafford one, the Man United one, and 183k for the League Finesse one, so that's really the expensive one there. Guys, I feel like this SBC is slightly overpriced, and I know they've given us Cristiano Ronaldo, and I should be grateful for having that. I think around 150 to 180 was probably a more reasonable spot for this card. When you consider it alongside the other cards that have come out in recent days, like your Dybalas, like your Boatengs, like any of the other cards that have come out in recent times to do with SBCs that have been very good, McTominay's, Kleibers, Robben, Ribery obviously is the other way, where it's very unreasonable, but for those specific ones I've mentioned there, those were all really good SBCs and all cheaper than this Ronaldo card, and this Ronaldo card is by far the worst one of the bunch. I would say that this last SBC is far overpriced. It needs to be around 70k again, so that's again 150 there, and then 160, 170k for all three squads. I think that would be a really nice price point for this card. I do think it's slightly overpriced. If we just get into what the most expensive challenge is, guys, It is a squad like this, an 86 rated squad, I believe. Yep, 65 chemistry, 11 players, 185k. So you do need some high rated players in there, guys. This particular solution uses Oblak and Ter Stegen, but of course you can use a lot of fodder that you might have picked up over Team of the Year. Would I? We'll get into the recommendations at the end of the video, guys. But it's something definitely to consider, is that I don't think this card is really worth all of that noise. But again, we'll cover that in the summary. So without further ado, we're gonna go to the tape. Let's take a look at some of the clips. So guys, getting into some of Cristiano Ronaldo, the right winger clips here, and we're going to see a lot of it is to do with how he plays with regards to his body type and his animations. Now, that was something that I mentioned in the beginning, which is something that's really key about this card, is that obviously this card has been severely downgraded, but what you do retain is Ronaldo's size, power, and ability to muscle people off the ball and run with the ball really well. This card is actually quicker than his base card, which is nice to have. However, I would say that he is lacking in a lot of areas that you can see here. I mean, his dribbling's not bad. Again, there you can see the strength of the body there, but you saw in the first clip as well, guys, and you'll see that in other clips as well, is that he does lack a lot of shooting capability and passing capability as well. I tried to keep things very simple with him. That, again, a very simple pass to play into Luis Suarez. He won't get the assist for that, of course, but it is another chance that he's created. Again, here, taking it right out wide. Now, that finish isn't on target, even with the keeper save, and that's really where this card struggles. I think if they had left the shooting at a reasonable level, like there again, you see it's suffering again because of the low shooting. I think if they'd left the shooting at a reasonable level, say 82, and the passing at say 80, 81, I think that would have been a more fair representation of this card, considering the time period they're trying to capture here. I don't feel like downgrading the card so much is representative of what this card was at the time. I feel like it's too much of a downgrade because they're scared to give everyone Ronaldo and the ability to own Ronaldo, really, which is more importantly what this is all about. Again, there you guys have seen in a couple of these clips as well, he's very dominant in the air. He's still very big, very good at jumping, very good on the heading. Not the best heading accuracy, but reasonable heading accuracy, and that allows you to get up and win headers if you need a second option on the back post, or even commanding at the front post to win that. Guys, getting into some of the best things about this card though, and I can't slate it all the time because a lot of it was good, and one of the things is this thing right here, his crossing. Absolutely sensational. Like, I can't count the number of times he picked out a great ball for me from that wing and it just didn't make it, or was almost there and nearly created a chance for me. And that's not necessarily down to the accuracy of his crosses. Again, you can see here, it's an easy enough cross, but to put it in the right area, to make it easy for the striker to score, he just does that perfectly as well. And that's something that's really nice about this card, is that he's able to just put it in the right spot when you're crossing the ball. 86 crossing on the base, so if you boost that at all with any of your chemistry styles, you've got a really nice crosser of the ball there as well. That's the final one there. And now we're going to get into some of the goals that I scored with him. Now, there was a mixture of goals here. Again, he's come off the right wing there to get in the position for the centre and score. In the next couple of goals as well, you'll see skipping past the challenge there, taking on another defender there and passing him again, using that strength to make sure the defender stays behind. How's that for an outside of the foot shot finish there? And in this final clip here, picking up the ball on the edge of the box out there, driving around their opponents, taking them on a little bit, using that body strength again, getting into the box here, and then smashing it into the goal. So guys, getting into the final Ronaldo summary here, and you guys can see here the SBC is very expensive. Now, something that I do want to check with you guys is the comparison. We'll do that in a second, but you guys can see here, if you actually look at the overall ratings and the positions, when you just leave everything off him, it doesn't look great, guys, and that's something that's really poor to see from EA. 87 rated card, not even an 83 actually in the game. In terms of chemistry style, the one that I'd recommend a Catalyst or a Hunter. Those two that are likeliest to give you the biggest opportunities to boost this card. With a Hunter as well, you get 88 finishing. That really does become a viable finisher at that position then. You don't have any passing ability really, but you do have the finishing ability. Alternatively, you can stick a dead eye on him. He isn't super quick, but his passing does get boosted and his shooting does get boosted, so that is really helpful as well for this card. Guys, overall, in terms of links, we'll get into links and similar players first. So first of all, similar players here. I would say the way this Jadon Sancho plays is very similar. I think Jadon Sancho is maybe a slightly better dribbler than this card, of course. he plays a lot like the actual Ronaldo, and that's not something that's just like, oh, obviously, because this card is significantly different in a number of factors, but he does play a lot like his usual card. Bellarabi would be another good shout, but again, Bellarabi's shooting way too good there. Maybe that Bellarabi there. There's not really a lot of cards. I'll tell you who he plays a lot like. He plays a lot like the base Thierry Henry. Where he's lacking in a lot of departments, but very, very promising in a number of them. If you boost those correct sections of the card, you could have yourself a really nice card here as well. So that would be someone who I would maybe liken him to. In terms of linkability, and of course, we already mentioned this at the start of the video, but that Moments Dybala is the main reason that I got this card, was because I didn't want to buy the actual CR7 for 1.25 million. This one is a nice alternative, and it was only 250k when I did it, and with fodder as well, it becomes essentially what is free. I am getting a lot of players from packs right now, so I need to put them somewhere, and this is a nice way to link them all up. He's also cheaper than this Freeze Chiellini, who you can link him to, but he's cheaper than that as well for a link to Dybala, so that's something to put into your team as well. Of course, it gets linked to players like Khedira, Alexandro as well. And you've got other Portuguese weak links as well that you can chuck in there. Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, Franco Ribery, of course, is there as well as all these Italian league players are in there too. Guys, something I wanted to really focus in on this review was the comparison between him and the regular Cristiano Ronaldo card. So we're going to do that right now. As you guys can see here, the price has actually dropped a little bit since I looked at this, so now it's not actually over 1 million coins to get this card, which is actually surprising considering. But looking into the card, you guys can see that on pace stats, the right winger Ronaldo does win there. Shooting stats, the base Ronaldo is far better at every category there. And passing as well, base Ronaldo is a lot better, although base Ronaldo's passing isn't great anyway. So what you're really looking at here, especially for the winger card, is his crossing good? And this card's crossing is actually better. His free kick accuracy is better, and of course with the power free kick trait, you do get a little bit better out of that. Long passing on this base Ronaldo is a little better, and the short passing is as well, but you can fix that with the chemistry style. It just depends on where you want to go with this card. In terms of dribbling, actually what I found here was a very key one for me. Agility is higher, balance is much higher, and dribbling is slightly higher as well. Now his composure is much lower as well, so finishing is a little more difficult with this card. And his reactions and ball control are both significantly lower. So that's really a tit for tat kind of section there, where the base card and the winger card kind of clash there. Of course, defending we're going to ignore here. And physicality, he's slightly better on the jumping now. I don't know how, considering this is when he was younger and this is now when he's older. Stamina is slightly better on this card, and the strength is of course better on the base card. That's completely understandable, because back when he was a winger, he was very much more a slight player. But given how this player plays and the animations that he has, what you do get is the added benefit of the fact that he is so big now, and has that strength naturally with the body shape that they've given him in this game. Guys, one interesting thing I wanted to show you about this card before we do round off this review is if we put a chemistry style on him, let's say put a Deadeye on him, for example. Now I know you could put a chemistry style on the base Ronaldo as well, and that takes the contest out of question. But the interesting thing to note here is that if you put a chemistry style on him, all of a sudden, if you look at those shooting stats, they don't seem so far apart in terms of his capability for shooting, for example, and the passing. He's able to do a lot more there all of a sudden. If you again were to flick it across and change it to, say, an engine, all of a sudden you've got a very different player to the one that you start off with after you've done the SBC. Again, the pace is improved, so a much better pace than the base card as well. The passing is of course improved as well, which brings it up to an okay level, and the dribbling is really improved as well, which is very nice to have on this card. So what I would say to you guys is that this isn't a complete loss of a card. It's that this card needs to be understood for what it is, and that it's a budget version of a very good player, but budget in the sense that it's really been limited, really been taken down. And actually, I don't think it's good value for money, but if you were to do it, it's a nice link to the players that we have mentioned previously. Finally, guys, we'll get into whether I would recommend this or not. And if I'm being completely and straight and honest with you guys, I would not recommend you do this SBC. Unless you have a Man United team or a Juventus team or a Paulo Dybala that you'd like to fit him into, then I would recommend doing this card. I don't think it's worth doing this card on the merits that it has as a card like this. I think it's far too expensive for what you're getting. I think 180k, 160 to 180k would have been the sweet spot for this card. I think then it would have been good value, maybe even cheaper, because you've seen some of the value of the SBCs that have come out recently, and they've been far better than this card. So I really do think that this card had to be cheaper for it to be a hit. But I'm still glad they gave us the option of linking Dybala to someone cheaper than Chiellini, because his price is spiraling out of control with all these Juve cards coming out. And that is it for this review. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please do smash the like button. Let me know what your thoughts are on this Ronaldo card and whether you are going to do him or not. I have done him, of course. But again, I don't recommend you guys do this if you want to do this. It would purely be out of a fun factor or to link him into a nice team. And without further ado, I will see you guys in the next video. In a bit.